Okay. So, to continue, I was reading something for the viewers. The mind reading something from the internet for viewers. It's important to note that the concept of the mind is complex and multifaceted, and there's no one agreed upon way to divide the mind into specific sections or categories. Different fields and approaches to understanding the mind may have different ways of conceptualizing the mind and its various concepts. One way to think about the mind is in terms of its various mental processes or functions such as consciousness, attention, memory, emotion, and problem solving. These mental processes are often studied in the field of cognitive psychology, which focuses on how the mind processes information and how people think, perceive, remember, and make decisions. Another way to think about the mind is in terms of its various states or modes of operation, such as waking, dreaming, and sleeping. These states of consciousness are often studied in the field of psychology, which investigates the mind and behavior in individuals and groups. It's also possible to think about the mind in terms of its various structures or systems, such as the prefrontal cortex, which is involved in executive functions like decision-making and planning, and the amygdala, which is involved in emotion and memory. These structures are often studied in the field of neuroscience, which investigates the brain and nervous system. Overall, the mind is a complex and multifaceted concept that involves many different mental processes, states, and structures, and it is the subject of ongoing research and debate in fields such as philosophy, psychology, and neuroscience. So, why am I talking about the mind? Why am I talking about the nature of the mind? I have wondered about what sort of relationship should human consciousness have with the mind, with the nature of the mind. How deep is the mind? If the mind was an ocean and if our consciousness was the surface of the ocean, what lurks in the depths of human intelligence? Right? These are the mysteries that our attention is being directed towards. For me, the mind, there's been moments in my life where I have left it to the unknown. So I have been like, okay, it's unknown. I'm part of an unknown event, this unknown movement. Let's go. It's like the days moved that way. And there has been times where I have realized that the mind or the potential of human intelligence is waiting for instructions. This is something that the way we're to have these attributes, right? But the idea is that just like people are waiting for society or their outer realms or their external reality to give them a permission to be something internal, similarly the mind is waiting for us to use it and to turn it into an interface. That means imagine you had the most advanced technology in AI, and this advanced technology in AI is your conscience. That means imagine your mind is an advanced technology waiting for instructions, waiting for commands. And what free will is doing is selecting the codes to input, to externalize. So I'll give you an example of the ways I have had an interaction and relationship with my mind, or ways my mind has connected the world to me and me to my world. Usually in moments when my ego breaks, or in moments where I choose to be an attributeless presence. That means, what I mean by that is like there's moments in my life where I'm just existing, and then there's moments in my life where the inner realms has given structure to the moment and I'm living. I'm not just existing, I'm living in accordance to the strategic intentions of my inner realms. Okay? The mind is like clothing, or let me say it this way. The body is naked, we put clothes on it. The mind is naked, our clothing space through conception. I think that's an exceptional statement. What can I say? Ultimately, life is the movement of your attention. There is a biological, you don't equip you can say the mind doesn't equip itself with laws, but with methods. Okay, I would say that the mind or human intelligence is the acceptance of a method. It's fascinating. There is so many different types of forms in this world that to render one of the forms as ultimate is like a disservice. It's like the world is too multidimensional to believe it in a singular dimension. You know, something that when I was younger I wish I knew is that I could have been myself in all the moments that I adjusted to the outer realms. Questions orbit consciousness, and the answers that consciousness finds to the problems it constructs. We are the geometry of the living world. We are how an object achieved a level of sophistication to position itself as a subject, and now the subject lives in the object. We used to be an object, like the object used to be in the driver's seat, and subjects were in the passenger seat or being run over. But then subjects came into the driver's seat. And who is speaking to you right now, as much as it's a biological system, it's a cognitive system, and the foundations of the cognitive system of how attention is being conscious is instantaneous authorization of form. So energy and attention are instantaneously being an opportunity for consciousness to create, to weave narratives through time. Human beings are not just trying to escape an existential simulation. We are trying to escape an experiential simulation. And it's this notion that if the world is not an object, if the world is not a subject, then what is going on? And the answer has come that it is the whole system, yet the whole system is inconceivable. The unity of all manifestation is it's an inconceivable common denominator. What it means is that manifestation was projected from the timeless. Time is due to the force's movement. So what life is the experience of an inconceivable force. And the human interaction with this inconceivable force, the healthiest approach is to realize that it is designed to be unknown. This world is not designed to be understood. It's designed to perform. This world is a stage. The cosmos, the space-time continuum is the stage where eternity temporarily performs. When the changeless witnesses how it changes. What is the God of man but the release of the self that kept a God? It's as if I am to believe in God, how can I believe in man's will? And if I am to believe in man, how can I believe in God's will? And so what sort of position has attention come to? Where it looks externally and it sees conditional reality. and it looks internally and it finds the unconditional freedom of the inner realms to move in ways the outer realms doesn't permit, your mind is allowing the world to move in your eyes. And when the world moves in your eyes, who is the world soul? Could it be that what is behind your eyes, what has been silently watching every conscious waking step of your life? Could it be that the secret of secrets stands unhidden, waiting to be noticed? Could it be that the heart of hearts beats beyond rhythm? There is a force here. There is a life force here. We are that force that did not just push and pull matter. It became it. We decided in the void of space to have a face. And so began the journey of the human race. And the race is not against each other. It's as if, let me tell you, it's like a kingdom under siege by unknown circumstances, and the kingdom is at war with itself. Imagine if two kingdoms are at war. Kingdom B is invading Kingdom A, and Kingdom A is still at war with itself. And so it's like, would the roar of 10,000 lions be enough of an alarm clock? The advanced humanity, it is where the future generations already are. The strength of life is how from the presence of our being, all actions arise. We are antennas. People don't understand this. The more selfless we become, the more we experience the collective life of the species. The more selfish we are in the outer realms, sure, the species may see us, but they may never see us. So the task of human intelligence in 2022 and onwards is to not fear how it's collectively being present. Anyways, guys, it seems, it's a busy day today. What I shall say will be that what moves mountains, like mountains may not be like a person may not be able to move a mountain in their outer realms, but in their inner realms we can not only move mountains, we can rename them, reshape them, change them. The mind is given so human beings have a personal server of activity. So what it means is, like, what the mind is really, it's a private server or a private art studio, and you get to see your artwork before being it. I want to read quotes from Maharishi Mahesh Yogi. And my laptop has onwards into the quote tunnel. Maharishi Mahesh Yogi says, happiness radiates like the fragrance from a flower and draws all good things towards you. Maharishi Mahesh Yogi says life finds its purpose and fulfillment in the expansion of happiness. Maharishi Mahesh Yogi says the kingdom of heaven is like electricity. You don't see it, it is within you. Maharishi Mahesh Yogi says problems will disappear as darkness disappears with the onset of light. That's abiding by one's true nature, by the way. For me, I'm defining one's true nature as the most advanced humanity. Maharishi Mahesh Yogi says, whatever we put our attention on will grow stronger in our life. Maharishi Mahesh Yogi says, being happy is of the utmost importance. Success in anything is through happiness. The highest state, Maharishi Mahesh Yogi says, the highest state is laughter. Maharishi Mahesh Yogi says, the important thing is this, to be able at any moment to sacrifice what we are for what we could become. Maharishi Mahesh Yogi says, the philosophy of life is this, life is not a struggle, not a tension. Life is bliss, it is eternal wisdom, eternal existence. Maharishi Mahesh Yogi says, I am upset and completely disappointed in the government, the millionaires and billionaires in the US. See what's happening to the country. Look at all the health problems, the economy, the recession and crime. Maharishi Mahesh Yogi says, the self with the capital S of everyone, the Atma of everyone, the transcendental field of reality of everyone, is the same in everyone, whether the body calls itself an American, German, Indian, or Chinese, it doesn't matter. Maharishi Mahesh Yogi says, in the process of evolution, the body lasts for some time and then will take other body and take other body and take other body until the final redemption from diversity is transcended. Maharishi Mahesh Yogi says, the constitution of the universe is total natural law. Natural law, in quotations, we say from the field of science. Will of God, we say from the field of religion. It's the same thing. Maharishi Mahesh Yogi says, the knowledge from an enlightened person breaks on the hard rocks of ignorance. Maharishi Mahesh Yogi says, behavior arises from the level of one's consciousness. Maharishi Mahesh Yogi says, stress is the reason for crime and all other kinds of frustration. To relieve it will eliminate everything else. Maharishi Mahesh Yogi says, master of the universe is every man's potential insight, cosmic potential. Maharishi Mahesh Yogi says, you must learn to take life less seriously and to laugh. Maharishi Mahesh Yogi says, all world conflicts will be resolved if people listen to my advice. God damn. No, he is right though. Because it is our dissatisfaction with ourself that makes it easy to hate the world, really. Maharishi Mahesh Yogi says, transcendental meditation is something that can be defined as a means to do what one wants to do in a better way, a right way, for maximum results. Maharishi Mahesh Yogi says, when the conscious mind expands to embrace deeper levels of thinking, the thought wave becomes more powerful and results in added energy and intelligence. Yeah, this is true. You know, there's been times where I've repeated stories in these lectures, and sometimes midway in the episode, I'm like, am I experiencing the story character's life right now? Maharishi Mahesh Yogi says, managers are the most creative people in the world. The United States influences government and life everywhere else. Yeah. You know, the United States is, it's like King Arthur that hasn't pulled the sword out yet, You know, the more suffering, the greater the realization comes. Really, it has to do with karmic intensity, but anyways, that's a different talk. Maharishi Mahesh Yogi says, keep reading my quotes now. He says, my coherence creating groups are going to put out all this mischief mongership in the world. Maharishi Mahesh Yogi says, I let people make remarks about me, but it doesn't touch me, all those remarks. Maharishi Mahesh Yogi says, great amount of scientific research is there to show that health is better because transcendental meditation deals with consciousness. And consciousness is the basic value of all the physical expressions. The entire creation is the expression of consciousness. Maharishi Mahesh Yogi says, modern psychology has pointed to the need of educating people to use a much larger portion of the mind. Transcendental meditation fulfills this need, and it can be taught very easily. You see, guys, the reason I'm sharing these quotes, okay, because the old world, the ancients, had a different perspective on reality where consciousness had a primary position. But in these modern times, due to more of the texture of reality being physical, right, we are thinking that our intelligence is the effect, is in a position of that being an effect of something. But in actuality, the meaning of life, its purpose is fulfilled when we realize we hold a causal position in reality. So I'll give you an example. Anytime I listen to a lot of lectures on my own in my spare time or when I'm doing things. And when I listen to these lectures, I realize that I am in a position of receiving the effect, as if I am not the one moving the moment, I am being moved by the moment. Okay, but there are moments in life where you realize you have to move the moment, and that's the ability of consciousness. Sorry guys, I think I'm getting hiccups or something, but anyways, maybe not. You know, it's imagine you were someone who had all the knowledge in the world. You would be left with exploring the unknown and creating new knowledge. The issue with humankind is the absence of novelty and the realization that every DNA is a new privilege. Sometimes when I, look down on myself, at the same time I think about it, it's like nobody like me has existed before, Why shouldn't I deserve to exist? Why shouldn't I deserve the worthiness of karmic, let's say an excellence in karmic manifestation? You see, it's like at some point in life you realize, wait a minute, not only are we all headed towards the unknown, but we got to learn to move our attention that is keeping reality known. So whoever you are, sit still and silent for 10 to 20 minutes and watch your mind. Watch it like a blockbuster movie and try to see how your intelligence functions. Every person is different. As you learn to cooperate with your mind, as you learn to listen to your mind, you will realize that the mind has such an advanced potential that it can position itself as a separate entity and guide you like how Jarvis guided Tony, man. What am I saying? Tony Stark and Iron Man. Tony, man. Or the Iron Stark, I don't know, imagine Ned Stark had access to Jarvis, imagine Tony Stark somehow with a time machine gave, Ned Stark, in a fictional parallel universe, Jarvis, so if Ned Stark had Jarvis, maybe Joffrey wouldn't have killed him, who knows, But what I'm trying to say is start interacting with your own intelligence and try to see if it can interact with you. Now, so many people in the spiritual community, they're like other dimensions, in the New Age community, they're like, I'm talking to aliens, I'm talking to my ancestors, I'm talking to my, neighbors, a spirit guide or something, you know what I'm saying? So people have relationships with their mind. It's part of the privilege of the mind to be able to shape itself and create an interaction where you feel you're in a dialogue with your own intelligence. But that's in the design of the mind. Really what it is it's a verb. So we interact with our own mind like a noun, we give it a shape, we make it into some higher self, higher force, higher will, right? But in actuality, it's up to that point, it's like Jungian synchronization is all happening until the person notices that they are the divine mover, they are the connecting point. That means the Jungian synchronicity is occurring because we are being poetically a sort of neural synapse of a cosmic entity, poetically, or a cosmic being. Some people, I've given talks. One talk I gave, which I thought it was a good talk. It was the title was "Are We the Imagination of God?" Which is plausible. We could be the imagination of a being beyond us, in the same way that if the red blood cells in my veins suddenly became conscious, developed their own language, technology, experiments, and came to realize that whatever they did, they could not see beyond their limited limits. So life is designed not to, in some sense, try to be limitless till the end of time, but it's in some sense designed to have performances take place. Right? I'll give you an example. If you look at a parking spot in front of a coffee shop, it's like that space has poetically the karmic destiny of different drivers coming and parking in the same spot, right? Like somebody buys a coffee, gets in their car, sips that coffee, goes off, somebody else comes into the exact parking spot